Yo, what is up everyone? Let's talk about Resident Evil 4 Remake's DLC. Currently we're in a hiatus, a little mini hiatus, nothing big. Hopefully. We still have a bunch of announcements to get through, so I can't necessarily say we're not going to see Separate Ways or something like that. Now, as we're all here waiting patiently, I want to talk about the Remake's DLC and what to expect. Starting off with number one is Luis. So Luis's background has been changed, which I love. They gave him more of a background than the original. Now he's a former employee of the Umbrella Corporation. He basically worked for the Los Iluminados for X amount of time and left when he found out their true purpose. Takes a sample and basically uses it as an insurance policy, which is how we get the interaction with him and Ada and Wesker, you know, that the whole scenario. So what do I think he'll have a bigger backstory in this? Well, he's kind of responsible for the abominations that we face in Resident Evil 4 Remake. For example, his research led up to the developments of El Gigante, the Regenerators, U3, which I will go over after this one, Verdugo, Nemesis, yes, you heard me right, even Nemesis, and the Novistadors. Luis kind of became aware of Sadler's true intentions. Luis had the sense of guilt for his contributions with his research. So Luis had access to the internet somehow, and I'm not sure if this was by accident, but I do remember him trying to contact somebody from his university. But instead, he contacted Ada Wong instead. They just started contacting each other since. So we're going to get a lot more backstory into, you know, his insurance policy, quote unquote, which is the sample. More into his abominations. More of an Ada origin of how she got to the island. And maybe we'll see more stuff of Luis and how they became in contact exactly. So going on number two, I mentioned before that I'm going to get back to this, and what I was talking about is the inclusion of U3. Now this one's a bit confusing because they kind of changed like the backstory of the U3. Like we know we already fought one of the Verdugos, but I'm not entirely sure if a Verdugo fused with Salazar when you fight Salazar in the remake. They haven't made that perfectly clear, which is why I think he's still out there, or I should say she. So the U3, this creature is called the U3 because of the three organisms that lives within the body, along with the plaga, which is human, reptile, and insect. The Novistador is called the U2 for the same exact reason, human and insect DNA. And no, not the band. But the one in the red, we can't really identify if this one actually combined itself with Salazar, because that wasn't made clear enough for me to say that. But let's just say he didn't. You know, this could very well be the U3 from the original game. The only thing is how will a figure like this would fit under that robe, but yeah, whatever, okay. Or maybe the U3 will get a redesign. But if you honestly ask me, I still think this Verdugo is out there somewhere. This is the other Verdugo that Ada will face. Hell, maybe it could be considered as a U4. Maybe there's a U4 out there waiting with 4 organisms. For those of you who were worried that the U3 was cut out in the original game, I wouldn't worry because I think they only cut that out to include it in Separate Ways. Going up to number 3 is Albert Wesker. We're gonna hear from him a lot more. We're gonna hear from him from like a brief mission. In the original game, we did hear from him briefly here and there. You know, during end games, I was basically your Hunnigan when it came to Separate Ways. I feel like he's gonna be included more in the story. We're gonna hear more of his backstory, more of his plan, more innuendos of what he wants to do with the virus. At the end, they kind of hinted that we're not going to get the same Resident Evil 5, only because at the end of 4 Remake, she tells the pilot to turn around. Why would you do that just to give up the virus? Unless something happens after that, Wesker ends up getting the sample either way. But if I'm not too sure, I think he collects a sample anyway because he goes to the island eventually after it's blown up and collects a sample from Krauser, you know, from his carcass. So we'll just have to see on that how that plays out. I don't necessarily think it's going to change anything to RE5. I just think they're expanding on that lore of how Wesker gets, you know, that ember. But going on to the 4th one, this is more of a miscellaneous list. This is weapons, charms, more story possibly. Obviously we're gonna get stuff like Ada ringing the church bell. I hope we get more stuff like that. You know, will we see a zombie with Leon's jacket on? Who knows? We can literally get anything. But super exciting stuff, and I have a feeling we're gonna see something of it pretty soon. But if we don't in the coming days, just don't worry guys. Wouldn't be surprised if they're not showing it, so it won't take the hype away from Death Island. So I wouldn't be extremely too worried about that. But at the same time, I'm sure we're gonna get something. Like there's no way they're not gonna show anything. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did I forget something of what we may get in Separate Ways? Or do you think we should get something entirely different? Let me know down in the comments. If you like the content, make sure to like the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. But I want everyone to have an amazing day. You know, be safe, stay healthy, drink lots of water, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. But until then, Peace.